Tadvaram paryaya vidmahe Jnanalingeshwaraya dhimahi Tanno Guruh Prachodayate Om. Om Yogamaharishi Dr. Swami Gitananda Giri Guru Maharaj ki Jai. Om Puduvai Kalaimamani Puduvai Shakti Yogacharya Ammaji Meenakshi Devi Bhavanani Guru Mata ki Jai. Om. Namaste, Namaskaram, Swagatam, Suprapad. Bonjour, buongiorno, buonasera, buonanotte, huya, more, boreda, kio, ora, salamat pagi, ayu, bovan. Welcome everyone to our 75th Scintillating Saturdays. Feels wonderful that all of you have enabled it to continue, and I hope it will continue as it should. Today is a very special day. The full moon, Purnima, or in Tamil, Phavanani. The Phavanani or Purnima in Margazhi, also called Margazhi, a very sacred month for all of us here in this part of the world. Margazhi is considered a very auspicious month for spiritual pursuits. You don't have weddings and all these usual material stuff going on. The mind is focused more on the higher spirituality, focusing our sankalpas towards the divinity. And in the Vaishnava tradition that propitiates Lord Narayana, we have the Tirupavai by the wonderful Sri Andal. In the Shaivite tradition, we have the Tiruvempavai. What beautiful concepts are there? The Tirupavai in the Vaishnava and Tiruvempavai in the Shaiva traditions of South India. And the 30 days of Margazhi have the 30 songs that are sung on each day. And Margazhi started a few days ago where the first song, Margazhi Tingal Madhinirendanala. And you'll find these songs being sung, being played. And it's the time of the grand Chennai music season. And all the artists will be performing and people will be coming from all over the world to perform, to be in the audience, and of course have all the wonderful canteen stuff in all these sabhas. People are more interested often in the food than in the music, but music is food for the soul. This Margazhi is a very auspicious time, and for our tradition is very special, because for more than 140 years, and now it's close to 150, we have been celebrating the Guru Puja of our illustrious Param Guru, Akanda Paripurna Satchitananda Srila Sri Kambli Jnana Desika Swamigal, shortly known as Kambli Swami. And Kambli Swamigal left his body in Jala Samadhi, one of the Siddhas of Puducherry, who left his body in Jala Samadhi on the new moon in Margazhi, the Amavasya. The no moon, new moon. 120 years later, our beloved Guru, Yogamaharishi, Dr. Swami Gitananda Giri Guru Maharaj, who was known as the Lion of Pondicherry, one of the greatest true yogis of the past century, Swamiji left his body on the full moon, the Purnima, in the same Margazhi month. This was in 1993. So in 1993, when Swamiji left his mortal coil behind and attained Mahasamadhi. It was exactly 120 years from the time Srila Sri Kambli Swamigal had left his body. And hence, when we did the Moksha Deepam, which comes 2 weeks after the Samadhi, and the Lingam, the sacred Lingam, is installed on the Samadhi and the daily worship begins, the Moksha Deepam of Yogamaharishi, Dr. Swami Gitananda Giri, occurred on the same day as the Guru Puja for our Param Guru Kambli Swamigal. And hence, Srila Sri Shankaragiri Swamigal, who was the immediate Guru before Swamiji, he instructed us that henceforth the Guru Puja of Kambli Swamigal and the Guru Puja of Swami Gitananda Giri must be brought together, and hence every year the new moon or the no moon in Margazhi, this year it falls on January 2nd, 2022, because Margazhi goes from the middle of December to the middle of January. So he instructed us that the Guru Puja should be done together for both of them, because this type of occurrence is not a coincidence. And Shankaragiri Swamigal felt that Swami Gitananda Giri was a reincarnation of Kambli Swami himself. That was his perspective. Of course, Swamiji felt that his Guru, Swami Kanakananda, was an incarnation of Kambli Swamigal, and that is why he had to be brought to Pondicherry to the Kambli Swami Madam. So Swamiji left his body on the 29th of December 1993. It was a full moon and a very sacred moment in the early morning, 2:20 a.m., Arudra Darshana, where the normally fierce Shiva, Rudra Shiva, is seen in an Arudra, a very benevolent, smiling mood. So most of the time this falls together. This year we celebrate the full moon tonight, here, a Saturday night, and Monday morning is the Arudra Darshan, because the way the moon phase and the stars, they go together, this does change, but many of the years it's exactly the same. Swamiji attained Samadhi on the Purnima, which is a very beautiful metaphor for what his life was about. His life was one of fullness, brightness, luminosity. But just like the moon is only reflecting the light of the sun, Swamiji always said he was only reflecting the light of his Guru, and it was not his own light. Again and again I'm reminded that the surest sign of true greatness is humility, gratitude. And Swamiji had that humility, that gratitude, and such gratitude towards his Guru and the illustrious Parampara. We used to go to the beach in those days, every full moon, and Swamiji would sing, Om Chandra Shri Chandra Purna Chandra Om. Om Chandra Shri Chandra Purna Chandra Om. Shukla Chandra Krishna Chandra Purna Chandra Om. Shukla Chandra Krishna Chandra Purna Chandra Om. Om Chandra Shri Chandra Purna Chandra Om. And what beautiful time we would have as the full moon rose over the Bay of Bengal. He lived his life to the fullest. I don't think there's anyone I know who has lived their life to the fullest as much as Swamiji. He gave to the fullest, never holding back. Sometimes Ammaji and I have wondered about it, whether he should have held back, especially with some people when you come to know what happens later, when people start to bite your hand that feeds them, you do wonder, were you doing the right thing? But Swamiji didn't care. His nature was of giving. Giving for the sake of giving, not giving for the sake of getting. So many people give for the sake of getting. He was a giver for the sake of giving. He lived for the sake of living. He taught for the sake of teaching. Every breath was for the sake of that breath alone and with no attachment at all. Nishkama. If I know of a life that was truly Nishkama, it was Swamiji. Swamiji was born on a full moon. You cannot make these things up, okay? Divine interventions. He was born on a full moon, which is one of the most auspicious full moons that you can have in this part of the world. Veda Vyasa Guru Purnima. In that year, 1907, it was July 24th. And Leo, no wonder the lion. Many people put the head into the mouth of the lion and wondered why they got bit. The head bit off. Don't put your head into the mouth of a lion. Simple logic. Born on a full moon, Veda Vyasa Guru Purnima. Attaining Samadhi on a Purnima in the Margazhi, sacred month of Margazhi. A beautiful circle of life. Swamiji's father, my grandfather, Sukraj Bhavanani, was a lawyer in the Patna High Court, and so the family lived in Bihar in a place called Maharaj Ganj. Swamiji was home educated along with his brothers and sister, other kids in the village, and home educated by his mother, who was the daughter of one of the high military personnel posted in India. Her father was an Indophile, loved India, loved Indian culture, and took on the name of Janaka. Like King Janaka, who had that amazing wisdom while still being in the material world. Janaka was his name. And his daughter was given the Indian name, Leelavati. So Sukraj Bhavanani and Leelavati Bhavanani bring forth Ananda Bhavanani. Yeah, that was Swamiji's name before he became Gitananda Giri. Ananda Bhavanani. This is why my son Anand Raj combines Swamiji's Ananda, it's also my Ananda, and his father, my grandfather's Sukraj, Raj. So Anand Raj is a combination of actually 3 generations, me, Swamiji, and my grandfather, coming into the 4th generation. There is a tradition in India that we remember our forefathers by naming our children in such a way that the memories continue. Swamiji grew up homeschooled, and when he was very young, he was not even 10, I think he was 9 at that time, his mother died. And he said, it was a double loss for him because he lost his mother and he lost his teacher, and was in grief, intense grief, when his guru Swami Kanakananda Bhrigu came into his life. Because Swamiji's grandfather, Janaka, was well known to all the sadhus and sannyasis, and whenever they went through the village, they would stop there because they knew that there would be a room available for them to sleep, food would be available, they would be treated with the respect and would be given due respect to the sant, the sannyasi and the yogis. So Swami Kanakananda Bhrigu, who has his own story, having been a professor at what later became the Benares Hindu University in Kashi. Swami Kanakananda Bhrigu came into Swamiji's life and his life was transformed through his interaction with his Guru, where this young man fell in love with his Guru. And that Guru Shishya Parampara of transmission that overcomes all time limits. In that span of 6 or 7 years, he was with his Guru. All the bountiful knowledge, the wisdom that today we are partaking of was passed from Guru to Shishya. Sometimes we wonder, how can such deep information have been passed in those few years, which does, sort of confuse us at times. But time is relative, and when the Guru and Shishya are in that intense teachable moment, time stops, it stands still. Swamiji was convinced by his Guru and his father to go to England and study medicine. Became part of World War II. He was in the Navy in those days and had this big tattoo. And we used to joke that he was the only Swami with a big, ship tattoo on his arm. Nowadays, everybody has tattoos. In those days, you had to be a sailor to have one of those ships on your arm. Served in different parts of the world, settling down in Canada. And his Guru had told him, because Swamiji as a young man had said, Guruji, I want to take sannyas and serve you forever. And his Guru told him, no, Ananda, your life is much bigger than that. You have to go out. You have to go out and serve the world, and there will be a time when you are 54. When you are 54, you will start to be known as Swami Gitananda, and then you can devote your life to yoga. He also told him, Ananda, you have 2 gifts. You have an amazing voice, Vak Siddhi, which can communicate the highest teachings. And you have hands that are healing. Go out and heal the world. Swamiji came back to India, came to Pondicherry. Why Pondicherry? Well, the connection between Kambli Swamigal, Kanakananda, Swamiji, all of these are so interconnected. All the dots come together when you realize them. And began Ananda Ashram. Varudava Road, opposite what today is a big cinema theatre and next to what is today the Jairam Hotel. Then shifting over to Lospet, which is today the National Archives building. And finally at Kambli Swami Madam, where he was anointed as the 8th Madhadapati of the Sri Kambli Swami Madam by his predecessor, Shankaragiri Swamigal. Built up the Kambli Swami Madam into what was known as the Shanti Niketan of South India. You may know that Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, the Nobel laureate, he had the Shanti Niketan in Bengal. Swamiji had created this amazing place, a place that served to enlighten whoever chose to enter its doorsteps. Thousands of young children and adults of Pondicherry received education in yoga, music, Bhavanani. The swimming pool was a place that most learned to swim. Everybody was fed. Every Sunday, thousands were fed. What a beautiful social program. We talk about social justice these days. The role of yoga in equality, accessible yoga, all of that Swamiji did in the 1960s, 1970s and 80s. But what was the reward? People thought, why will somebody come? Somebody come to India, especially if you are white. Because Swamiji, with his ancestry, half Irish and half Sindhi, was definitely white. Ammaji, who came from America, was definitely white. Why do these white people want to help us? There must be an ulterior motive. Even today I find it. People who love India, who love Hinduism, and stand up for India and Hinduism, they get criticized by our own people. Oh, you are white, what are you telling us? Why are we stuck with this white, brown, black, blue, grey colors? Why can't we see the essence of the Atma that is beyond all of these divisions? And so, Kambli Swami Madam was suddenly one day taken over by the government of Pondicherry. Total illegal takeover. They just came in. Swamiji was in his bed and they say, you're trespassing on government property, we are arresting you. Bundle him off the bed. Ammaji had gone to town on a scooter to do banking and shopping. She came back, she was stopped at the gate. You cannot enter. You cannot enter your own home. You cannot be in the bed of your own place that you have brought up to such splendor that is recognized by the world. Because of small-minded, small-hearted people who could only see white skin. People who could only see ulterior motives. They couldn't understand why somebody would help for the sake of helping, give for the sake of giving, and live for the sake of living. But Swamiji and Amma didn't give up. They went to court. The High Court said, Pondicherry government, get out. What did the government do? They didn't even give us the key. And Swamiji got beaten up, his shoulder broken, Shankaragiri's glasses broken, and eyes damaged with the pieces of glass that flew into it. They kept fighting. They kept fighting. And the case kept on going until finally recently it got heard in the Supreme Court, and the judge had no idea what had gone on. He said, oh, this is a property dispute. Go back to the local court. Go back to the local court. It's a property dispute. It was not a property dispute. It was a government's malicious takeover of a Hindu religious institution that was fostering the culture just for petty egos. But despite all of that, Swamiji and Ammaji didn't give up. We went to Rainbow Nagar, found a house, rented that house and started the ashram again. The courses continued. The government tried its best, but the court said Swami Gitananda Giri, assisted by Ananda Balayogi, will continue the pujas at Kambli Swami Madam. And to this day, we have been privileged. We have been fortunate that despite everything, we have still been able to do the pujas for our illustrious gurus. That's all we want. That's all we want. ICYER on the beach, well, it came into existence. And the programs continued. Conferences continued. In Kambli Swami Madam, Swamiji had already held the first two convocations of Vishwa Yoga Samaj, bringing together all the eminent yogis of the world in days before the internet, before all this social media stuff. And I remember my dear yoga uncle B.K. Saingal at Kambli Swami Madam attending the conference and sharing his wisdom as so many others. In 1989, holding the third decennial convocation of Vishwa Yoga Samaj, a galaxy of world leaders at Pondicherry, and the first international Yogasana sport event was held on that January of 1989. Conferences on yoga research, conferences on the Sanatana Dharma and the cultural ethos of yoga. How many books How did he write those books? He just sat there and they came through him. And Ammaji would type away furiously on her typewriter. That is why Divya is going for typing classes. She wants to type like Ammaji's typing skills. Well, it's going to take a lot of practice. Ammaji's typing skills were amazing. Swamiji would be dictating, Ammaji typing, and everybody's like, Amma, what is for lunch today? Amma, what can I do in the garden? Ammaji, we have a problem downstairs. The lights are not working. And she'll be giving all that instruction and here typing away as Swamiji continued with his Vak Siddhi. For me, that image is of Veda Vyasa dictating the Mahabharata and Lord Ganesha, the Sri Lekha, noting it down, describing it. Amma playing that role of Ganesha for Swamiji's Veda Vyasa. All those amazing teachings, including the yoga step by step. The past year we have gone through those 52 lessons. Oh my God. Every line, every word a treasure. And it just flowed seamlessly. He didn't need reference books. He was the source of the reference. He didn't need to quote scriptures. The scriptures were flowing through him. Because he was in tune with that Akashic record, that Prajna Loka that Maharishi Patanjali tells us about. Once you are in that Prajna Loka, things are not in a box anymore. It is just pure wisdom. It is when you download it, you put it in different files, okay? You put it in different folders. And then you say folder A21C has this knowledge. That is once you download it, and so we say, oh, this is in the Hatha Pradipika, that is in the Garanda Samhita, that's in the Shiva Samhita, this is in the Yoga Sutra. In the Prajna Loka, they are not put in, there are no tags there. It is just pure wisdom. And Swamiji was accessing this pure wisdom. I remember in my school days, towards the end of my school days, I had a short time where the terrible teens came in and the revolting part of me, which just wanted to be the next Sunil Gavaskar, play cricket for India and be the big cheese, become an architect, influence of Ayn Rand and her fountainhead. Please never give that to kids. Me philosophy. Seriously. Me only philosophy. And Swamiji got a bit upset. He got a bit upset and I sensed it but didn't really know it too much. Because when I would come back from school for holidays, the students, one by one would meet me and they'd say, Ananda, this is an amazing tradition. You must continue it. You must continue it. It's very important. And I'm like, what are they talking about? What do they know about it and why are they talking about it? And then I came to know that in the classes, Swamiji was thundering. Here is this thousands of years tradition and my son wants to break it and be a cricketer. And he was going on about this thing. I never knew about it. And then when I realized how fortunate I am, I realized my dharma, my swadharma. I realized I had to take this forward. That my life had to be a life of yoga. And I remember I wrote a letter to him from school and I said, Swamiji, after I complete my schooling, I want to spend a year or two learning from you. Can I take up yoga step by step and can I join the upcoming 6-month course from October 2nd? And he wrote back, he said, I'm so happy, Ananda. I'm so happy that you will continue this. And I've shown you the beautiful message he gave me on his birthday, reiterating the need to find wisdom in your learning, to have humility, and to take up the responsibility with grace, acknowledging those who have come before us, supporting those who come along with us, and motivating those who will follow us. Those 2 years of studying with Swamiji, 1991 to 1993, laid a firm foundation. I started to understand all that he had given me from my childhood. The other day, Sangeeta asked a question during our Nada Yoga course, which is going on. She asked a question, what is your first sound memory? I think for me it must be Swamiji chanting or Swamiji teaching. With his booming voice. Om Ghang Gadapadaye Namaha. Swamiji walks into our temples and he's like, Om Namah Shivaya! And everybody's like, oh my God, get out of here. Boom, boom, boom. What an amazing Vak Siddhi. Larger than life. Hitching our wagon to the stars. What an amazing example of how to live life to its fullest. And Swamiji always loved to sing. And what beautiful singing. All the students would be trained. Manikandan sir would teach them all these songs. And whenever there was a temple event locally, Swami Gitananda and his band would be there singing away to glory. Ganapatiye Vahuvai or Paramapavana Krishna Paramatmani Paripurna. Sariga pada sanida pada pamagari savisanida sa. All this would be going on. And all the students singing Radha Sameda Krishna Jaya Radha Sameda Krishna Krishna. And when he chanted again, what energy. And always our last song of the concert. La 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 Aigarane Animugane Yengumo Nindula Moshigane Shivashaktiya Palagane Shivashaktiya Palagane Siddhi Buddhi Kumarnavalane Va Ganapati. And Swamiji would be Ganapati Va Ganapati. No wonder Ganapati would come. That was the type of energy. And at the end, Om Manam Pul, 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 Om. And he would keep going. All of us are finished. We are out of breath. And Swamiji, and he will be laughing at us. What are all you young people doing? Look at this old man still going so strong. What an amazing energy. Splendid energy. The energy of prana. The energy of yoga. The energy of life. To be born to such a father. People have often asked me, they said, has it sort of been a tough act to follow? I only follow. I just follow. Oh my God. What What an example. What an example to grow up with. No special treatment, ever. Learn it, Ananda. Learn about life. Learn about life. Learn about life. And be responsible. If I fell off the chair, it was my fault, not the chair's fault. So many people, children fall off the chair and, oh, you naughty chair. No, careless kid. Beautiful, practical living. That when I made a mistake, I understood I made a mistake and I had to set things right. Take responsibility. Don't think about what has happened. Think about what you can do right now to set things right. You have to set things right. You have to do something about it. Not just, it's like crying about spilt milk. For God's sake, collect it up, give it to the cat and clean up the floor. Milk is spilled, milk is spilled, milk is spilled. Yeah, it's done. Okay, fine. You're not Superman to go back and change it. Or be caught in a time loop where you keep on going back and getting chances to work on it till you get it right. What is to be done? It's very practical. Swamiji's teachings, for me, very practical. See what needs to be done and do it. Equip yourself to do what needs to be done. Which means that you have to keep on building on your competency, your skill kit. You have to keep on building on it. You have to build on your competencies. So that when something happens, you are competent enough, conscious enough, mindful enough, and able to do what needs to be done in that moment without blaming anyone. The blame game is just such a waste of time. Oh, it's your fault, it's your fault. Okay, fine. It is somebody's fault. Okay, fine. Let's now set it right. And let's make sure it doesn't happen again. Another teaching that Swamiji gave me was very true. If there has been a problem, fine. Focus on the solution and then see how you can prevent it from occurring again. Because if it keeps on occurring again and again, well, it basically means you have not learned from it. These are the practical teachings that we need as a human being. Not blame somebody and find fault with someone. The modern therapies that try to blame your parents, your society, your teacher, your cat, your cow, your house, your government. No. Yoga starts the moment you take responsibility for your own life. That is what dharma is all about. That is what dharmic living is all about. And yoga is nothing but dharma. That is what Swamiji has shown me. That is what Swamiji has shown me. And this is why I don't have to step into his shoes. No one can step into his shoes. No one can be another Swami Gitananda. What I have to be is be Ananda. And by me being the best version of myself, well, that is what I can give back to him. That is what I can give back to Ammaji. Our life becomes our dakshina. Our life becomes our dakshina to our gurus. Our life becomes our offering, naivedyam to the divine. You don't have to buy an apple and give it to the guru. That's nice, okay? If your gurus like apple, please buy them apples. My students know I like gulab jamun, so I get a lot of gulab jamuns. Huh? Imagine when all your students on the same day give you boxes of gulab jamun. Gulab jamun overdose. If your guru likes bananas, give them bananas. If they like pizza, give them pizza. Whenever Jnanadev is down here, he loves making coffee for me. Tejasvi, whenever I have classes, loves making coffee for me because they know I like my coffee. Okay, so, give your guru his coffee. Give your guru his apple. Give him his orange. If he likes flowers, give him. It used to be so funny with Swamiji because every Guru Dakshina, the students would bring all the stuff and give him. And he used to laugh. He said, these students go out, pluck flowers out of the garden that I have grown, I have nurtured. They pluck the flowers and come and give it to me with, Swamiji, here's my Guru Dakshina. He said, so I know what God feels like. Swamiji used to say that. He said, I know what God feels like because God has created everything and we are going to take it to God and say, hey God, I have brought you 108 apples. And so bless me with $1 million. Hey God, I have come and poured milk on your lingam. So bless me with a good son. Huh? If we think we are giving God something, everything belongs to God. Everything belongs to God. What are you going to give God? The only thing you can give God is the way you live your life. The only thing you can give your Guru is the way you live your life. When you live the teachings, and this is why for me, my life, every breath of mine is my Dakshina to Swamiji and Ambaji. What else can I give them? I've often been asked, do I miss Swamiji? Well, he did promise Ammaji and me that he would live much longer than he did, so she's often reminded him that he didn't keep his promise to her. That I think when I was studying medicine, I used to feel that it would have been nice if I could have discussed what I was learning in medicine with him. But then, one day, I realized all I have to do is connect with the source. By living the teachings, by sharing the wisdom that he has opened up for me, I am with him in the same space. This is why I teach. Because when I teach, he, me, Ambaji, all the gurus of the parampara, we are all in the same space. So I don't have to go looking for him. He is where I am when I teach. He is where I am when I share. He is where I am when I live my life to its fullest. A beautiful day to remember Swamiji. "28 years ago now, 1993, and we'll be celebrating tonight at Kambli Swami Madam with lot of music, good food, prasadam, and the coming together to honor such an amazing yogi, such an amazing siddha, such an amazing rishi of modern times. We are blessed to be his disciples. We are blessed to be part of this parampara. May we be worthy of that blessing. May we share that blessing. And may that blessing grow in abundance forever. Om Akanda Mandala Karam Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Ajnanathimirantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Dhanyavadaha. Thank you so much. See you all later. And if you are in Pondicherry, do join us this evening. If not, we will try our best to have it broadcast live on the ICYER page. See you all later. Be blessed and be a blessing.